Hello, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE SmackDown, and right now you're listening to Journey into Wrestling. I don't know why you're listening, but you are.
To a nicer guy, it couldn't happen.
I'm the man of the hour, the man with the power.
Diamonds are forever.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
And what you gonna do, Andre?
History beckons the Macho Man. Yeah.
The best there is, the best there was. Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
2 words for ya.
And get some man.
The champ is here.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Yes, everybody, welcome to the next episode of Journey to Wrestling. I am your host, Brando. This week, I am once again defending the tag titles. However, due to the whole Freebird rule, now you're getting another duo of the trio. Joining me this week is Nate. Nate, how you been?
Good. Well, relatively good, man. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So you seem to be a little under the weather.
Yeah, I'm suffering from maybe the worst cold I've ever had in my life. It's like day 6.
Oh damn! Man.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's almost gone. Like every day I wake up and it's closer to being gone. Like I didn't feel this for the better part of today, and it's only been in the last 6 hours that it's really come on. And I know that by tomorrow, hopefully, it'll have finished working itself out of my body. But yeah, yay for Dayquil and Benadryl and stuff. And also, are we the New Day now? And do we get to say that we're the New Day now? Because, I mean...
You know what? I kind of like the... see, now, we could be the New Day. I'm more of an old school fan. I've never quit being a fan. But, I'm more akin to the Freebird rule because the last episode Patrick was on. Patrick's not here this week. Great news for Patrick, dude. They finally got Sutton, his little daughter, home. And so, he's taking this week off to be a dad and kind of hang out. He actually was live on Facebook a little while ago and got to sit there and watch that, him kind of just play and be a dad. There was nothing like that, man, that first couple weeks getting used to it. I took a month off of Journey into Comics, because we weren't doing any other side podcasts at the time. I just took a week off a month off. And for some reason you thought I was taking 2 months off. I don't know where those strings got, got crossed.
I don't know, man. It was one of those things. I think that I just assumed that you would take a little longer off. And in my head, it was just he'll be gone for about 2 months. Just plan for it. Luckily, you're only gone for a month. So that was a good thing.
I actually could have came back sooner, but it just sort of I wanted to take just to make sure, because really the adjustment period for bringing a brand new baby home is probably about a couple weeks. So once we kind of got our thing figured out, I could have came back. In fact, there were times where I was getting messages between you and Shuddy Boy at the time about meeting up and shit, seeing that stuff, and I'm just I could totally I could do the show right now. We're not doing anything. And yeah, but I could have said, "Hey guys, I'll join you," but I'm like, you know what? No, I decided to hang back because I wanted to sit back. I want to take that step back and kind of see, and just listen to the shows as a fan, before we started. But for Journey into Wrestling here today, we sort of started this a couple episodes ago, of course, with the brand split. Now we have 2 pay-per-views a month for every month that isn't a big 4, which kind of seems like they're going to be accentuating the big 4 a little bit more. Hopefully Survivor Series gets some more love because we almost had a point where they took Survivor Series away entirely.
I know. I was really bummed that they were thinking about doing that.
Yeah, thankfully that didn't happen. The next takeover is going to be that weekend. I really hope that, so they're wanting to make SummerSlam the WrestleMania of the summer. And Rumble's a big event anyway. Mania is its own big monster. We need to have that big event in the fall. And I remember back, they had a pay-per-view. They added a pay-per-view called Bragging Rights, where it was Raw versus SmackDown, big 10, 12-man elimination match. And I'm like, you have Survivor Series in 3 weeks. Why are you doing this?
Not very smart.
It didn't make any sense to me because, yes, I understand the formulas for Survivor Series matches. It may be a little dated, but you can still have a match or two on the card. You can have that Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, or you can have the Team Wyatts versus Team Orton, or Team Cena versus Team AJ. However, they're gonna end up doing it. Team Authority. I mean, how cool was it? I mean, that was the first one in many years where they had Team Authority versus Team Cena a couple of years back, where Sting debuted. That was an awesome main event. That had so much drama and everything. Survivor Series can be a big event, and it has the history. So, I mean, why not make that? Why not make all the big 4-hour events? Since you have two brands now, you're doing 2.5 hour pay-per-views a month. So why not have enough stuff for 4 hours, 4 times a year? So you can. I understand, like, you're not going to be selling out a big stadium with the Royal Rumble or Survivor Series, but who cares? Just make the weekend event, make it a big event. I'm really hoping that we get to that. But what I was sort of getting to is that for the months that we obviously aren't the big four, it really tailor made for us doing 1 or 2 shows a month anyway, because then we can we're almost always doing a pay-per-view review and like leading up, and we can almost just kind of follow the brand of WWE throughout the weeks. Now, I want to kind of get into this, Nate. Before we start, reviewing Clash of the Champions and kind of like getting into the nitty gritty, I have a top story. Now, before we get into the reviews, we're going to be doing some top stories. So even if there's a big title win, a big this, we're going to kind of talk about it right at the beginning just to get it out of the way. Because obviously, if we're going to be reviewing a pay-per-view, maybe the only show that we'd ever really do that with is probably Mania, where we just kind of sit there the whole episode and just review the whole thing. But for this situation, I definitely want to talk about this story because it doesn't have anything to do with anything else on the show. News broke. Let me find the article. This was on the 27th.
That was yesterday.
30
years since Cliff Burton passed away.
Oh yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, never forget. TNA unable to fund Sunday's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. This article says basically they don't actually have the funds to put on the show, nor do they have the funds for future tapings right now. The pay-per-view is this Sunday, and they don't have the funds to put on the show. Now, there was some news. I believe me and Patrick talked about it on the last episode. I don't think there was I think it was episode 110 of Journey into Comics. You and me sort of talked about wrestling a little bit on there to kind of get you back up to speed just a little bit. I don't think we talked about it there either, but TNA is up for sale. Potentially.
Okay.
And there were 3 people who have, interest in this. And at the time, WWE was one of them, and they kind of backed out. They's like, whatever. Literally, the only reason why they would buy them is for the tape library. I mean,
to get AJ and Samoa's tapes.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you have access to matches to other guys like Sting and
Kurt Angle, yep,
and Christian even to an extent, and other guys.
Hardys.
You have Hardys. You have access to all those matches that can easily be plugged into the network. I mean, it is a no-brainer. It's like AJ Styles is now the WWE World Champion. You're going to put a special on the network, because they do those monthly collections, right? Where they put out like, hey, this is a collection of The Rock versus Cena, which they've wrestled like what twice. But I mean, like, they're going to have like a collection of Austin versus McMahon, where they have matches and angles and stuff that they put together. They can easily do that with, hey, check out some early days of AJ Styles. And I mean, you can see his run as X Division and TNA champion, and even see, okay, if they're going to do a DVD of AJ Styles, they've worked with New Japan before to get matches. They did that on the Benoit DVD when they got some Wild Pegasus matches and Pegasus Kid stuff. So for them to put an Ultimate AJ Styles collection out, if they bought TNA, would be easy. It would be the Ultimate AJ Styles DVD package or whatever. Now, as I said, they kind of backed out, right? The other 2 were Sinclair Broadcasting, which they own Ring of Honor. Now, if they bought TNA, what would they do with it? Well, they would close it down, just like WWE would. However, they wouldn't close it down for like not knowing what to do with it. They would close it down because with Ring of Honor, that would open up new television markets for them.
Yep.
Not just here in the States. I mean, TNA has television markets in other countries, and then if Sinclair bought that, would instantly be, hey, we own this product. We're now negotiating with you. Guess what? You know, we're your guys. The other party interested in purchasing TNA is Billy Corgan, who is already a minority owner of the company and is looking to become majority owner.
He's the face that's on the show too.
He is now, yes. He is now in the company. He is now the president and control. He is pretty much running the company, taking over Dixie's spot, and she has moved into some others. I can't remember the role that she has. CEO. Pretty much, she's just like an ambassador at this point who has a majority running stake of the company, but she doesn't run it because she's pretty much ran this thing into the ground. Now. I said WWE backed out. Well, guess what? They're back in it. WWE is back in the bidding war, which isn't a good sign and could be an indication that that TNA is done. And while Corgan, he had an interview with ESPN, he said that he would like to buy the company, but a deal likely cannot be made in full before Bound for Glory. TNA needs the funds, and they need them before Friday to do the pay-per-view. So, and they need to be able to have enough money to do the show by Friday. And PWInsider.com is reporting that the sales situation is complicated due to the company Hourlux. I don't know what like they're like a production company. There's still a chance that Billy Corgan can buy the company, but PW Insider, longtime writer for that, Mike Johnson, says that the reality is that the fuse on TNA is close to an end. And there's more to the story as has been happening the last couple of days. Today, Billy Corgan was on XM, Sirius XM's Busted Open Radio, talked about Bound for Glory possibly being canceled. He said that he will be in Orlando on Sunday, rain or shine, and noted that he was the one that agreed to financial deals that allowed the last 3 rounds of taping to take place.
Huh.
Basically, the last 3 tapings that they've done wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Corgan.
He's just funding this fucking thing.
Well, Corgan has a passion for wrestling. I'll give him that. I mean, but granted, he's pretty much boarding the Titanic as it's like it's about to break in half, and he's like, "I'll steer."
He's like, "I got it. Move out of the fucking way. I'm gonna make sure this thing doesn't sink."
It's already hit the iceberg. It's already going down. He's like, "I can save it."
Too little, too late.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Where was I at here on the article? Corgan said that from a personal and financial level, he will do everything in his power to make sure the pay-per-view goes on as scheduled. Corgan also noted that he's using his own money as part of the effort to acquire the majority ownership. And Corgan has said that whatever ultimately happens is out of his hands at this point, but he will be in Orlando Sunday regardless. He said that TNA talents are supportive of his efforts to buy the company. And regarding the situation, he says enough air has gone out of the balloon. It's time to put air back in the balloon and let this thing be what it can be. They then Busted Open posted some quotes from him on Twitter. And basically he was quoted as saying, "Everyone's booked. Everything is good. The issue is the same. Who's going to pay for this? And what do I get?" He then said that the company's had a for sale sign on it for a very long time. You could argue that it's had a for sale sign since its inception. Now, there's another part to this. There's one more. Basically saying that WWE is back in the bidding war for the company, which is an indication that it could be coming to an end. And basically, they just want the like the library. Um,
They get some
but
talent out of this, though.
they would definitely get some talent. I mean, they want Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy back, and that is no doubt. Jeff Hardy has always been a big star for them.
Kurt Angle is a
Uh,
no-brainer.
Kurt Angle's no longer under contract with TNA.
Really?
He finished up in January.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been a free agent since then. EC3 is somebody that WWE's had in the past and let go. He's really kind of come into his own. There's a lot of guys that they could try and get a hold of out of this deal if it were to happen. Now, basically, in this updates, it's saying that Corrigan is a front runner to purchase the company. However, the company needs funds by Friday to stay afloat, and not months from now when a deal could be finalized. One of the problems with keeping the promotion going has a lot to do with previous debt. It's being said that TNA owes millions, more than what more than what the company would even sell for, at this point.
Wow.
So, basically, if WWE bought the company, they would basically just be buying their debt to pay it off, and that alone might be enough for them to say no.
Well,
I mean, because you're looking at people who TNA. I was a fan of TNA for quite a few years, and this after the summer of '09, it really wasn't the same, and it really started going downhill. And ironically, that's when Vince Russo started having a lot more power backstage and got rid of a lot of the people in wrestling. That's when Jeff Jarrett got kind of shoved out of his own company due to complications with him seeing Karen Jarrett and him lying about it to Dixie. Dixie kind of sort of shoving him out. He no longer, I'm not even sure if he even owns anything in TNA anymore. Him and, oh man, country singer, prominent country singer, crap.
Trisha Yearwood. I don't know.
No. Man, put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Toby Keith?
Toby Keith. Toby Keith, him and Toby Keith were actually looking to buy TNA back a few years ago, but the deal didn't go through because Dixie's daddy, who was pretty much funding the company at the time, said that they were trying to make it to where Dixie was still running the company, and they said absolutely no way. Obviously, at this point, Dixie's daddy's out. He's no longer involved in this company. They've cut her off. They no longer get to spend their millions wasting it away on TNA like she's been doing for over 10 years. Now, TNA has gone through periods of ups and downs. It's been down for a long time. Pretty much, it got to a point of Spike needed to see something out of TNA that it wasn't seeing. Spike fronted a lot of money to get guys like Kurt Angle, to get Sting, to get Hogan, and none of that stuff came through. And when TNA went to the plate, 1, 2, 3, you're out. As many good matches as there were, as many as even some good angles, may have came out of it, and never really came out in regards to the ratings. They were getting their ratings, and that was pretty much as they were going to get. But even those started to slip. So when that started to slip, they got axed from Spike. And then they went to Destination America. We're there for a year, and the Destination America pulled the F out and said no more. Now they're on Pop TV. Pop TV used to be the TV Guide channel.
Oh, Lord.
And so, and TNA has been doing a couple of good things. The whole Broken Matt Hardy storyline, the Final Deletion, Delete or Decay storyline, where they've been doing these new kind of weird short film matches. It's been weird but different, in an era where we need different in wrestling, and it's it might not be your cup of tea, but it's something different and captivating to watch. But there's a part of me that I don't like to see wrestlers out of work, but I think it's time to pull the plug. And honestly, I feel like they need this Sunday's Bound for Glory should be their swan song, and it would be like, sayonara.
Well,
Thank you.
if anybody's going to make that happen, Brando, and this is just my thought, honestly, man, WWE has done that in the past with ECW and other promotions, helped them out, and then eventually took over. It wouldn't be beyond them to be like, okay, fine, we'll give you your last one. Your fans expected this one at least, you know.
Yeah.
And then that's it, you know. And I guess we will not have resolve on this top story that I was not aware of. I'm really excited to be talking about it, though. But we'll have more details on this like next week.
Probably yes.
Because as of right now, we don't have any details. Because nothing's going to be resolved.
Yeah, Bound for Glory is supposed to be this Sunday. We don't know if it's actually going to happen at this point. There was one other thing. I dropped my water, by the way. I don't know if you heard that.
I did not hear it. I was probably trying not to sniffle our audience to death like the Orange Oompa Loompa. But anyways.
I am not set up in like a really professional podcasting way. I'm in my like gaming chair with my laptop on my lap, and I'm holding my microphone. And I took a sip of water while you were talking, and I went to go put it back over on like my futon arm, and it just I missed entirely and just dropped it on the floor.
It was capped though.
Yes, it was.
Okay,
yes.
So you didn't spill it all over the game room.
No cold feet. Now, however, basically what Corgan wants to restructure and even rename the company. He wants this. He wants to make it his own vision, which is fine if he gets it. You know, at this point, TNA's dead.
It's not what it was. It's not Six Sides.
Yeah, it is.
What?
They went back to Six Sides 2 years ago.
I feel like you told me that, and I don't think it resonated because that's crazy to me.
Well, see, I'm not surprised that you don't know, because do you know how much TNA that I've watched since then?
None.
I've watched the delete stuff, and that's it. Like, seriously, that is all I've watched. I am not a follower. They're literally, WWE is putting out so much content that I can't. I want to watch even. No, I can't even keep up, because you know there's Ring of Honor stuff that I'd like to watch, and I don't get a chance to watch it. There's New Japan stuff that I'd like to watch, and I don't get to watch it. There's even I even watch some matches. The only time I ever see Lucha Underground is when they put matches on Facebook. But like for WWE, it's like I didn't watch Raw and SmackDown this week, so I'm not going to really get to say too much on those other than what I read. But like there's the NXT shows, there's the pay-per-views, and then I do watch Raw and SmackDown most weeks.
Do you watch Holy Foley?
I do not watch a lot of the original programming on the network.
I love most of the original programming. Like, there's so much good stuff. They're like really genuinely interesting things. Like the Holy Foley thing is really cool because the story of his daughter becoming a wrestler, and that's a really interesting dynamic from the inside of a legend's home. But it bums me out. I just wanted to say this real quick, not to really swerve the show, but that was a reference to the network as well. But, Holy Foley is awesome, but they only have the first 5 episodes on the network. You can't watch beyond that. They just stopped, and I don't know when there's more episodes coming out. And then at the end of the 5th episode, it's always like, this season on Holy Foley. And then there's no more episodes. Like, I prefer when the network does it weekly episodically. They had countdown. The countdowns for a while were really good. They did the whole series with Monday Night. The Monday Night Wars was really interesting. They did Swerved, or they did Austin's podcasts where they're kind of live. I like that feel where it's premiering, and it's not like Netflix where they just go, here's all the content, enjoy.
There's one more story. There's one more article.
Bring it on.
About the TNA sale. Reportedly, there's a lot of concern about the status of the company. According to a veteran TNA talent, people in the company are nervous about the pending sale, and the feeling is that there is a new level of concern about the company's future. There were reports that several wrestlers had their flights and matches canceled for next week's scheduled tapings. The idea is that people in charge are trying to save as much money as possible. When it comes to Corgan and how much money he might or will be able to spend on TNA, it's reporting that his net worth is around $40 million. Even if Corgan ends up buying the company, they're still concerned about whether he'll be able to solve the company's financial problems. And regarding WWE, Dave Meltzer reports that WWE's offer for TNA is very little. And WWE would also want a non-compete clause, which would prevent Corgan or Dixie Carter from starting up another wrestling company.
Whoa.
Interesting there. Really, I don't understand why they would do that.
Well, I know why. Because some of both of those people, and a lot less for Dixie, but I'm guessing a lot more for Billy, they have wrestlers that are in that locker room that like them, and that if they open new shop, they ditch WWE in a heartbeat. You know?
Pool talent, yeah. Oh, but see, here's the thing: is that WWE's not going to take all those guys. I know Corgan; he's had Resistance Pro in Chicago before and ran that. Now, honestly, for the non-compete, I would pretty much I would have that for Dixie only because I don't ever want to see her run another wrestling company ever again. My opinion of Dixie has tarnished over the last 5 years. I used to think, oh, she's just a sweet old lady, but literally, she's a sweet old lady that has no idea what the fuck she's doing in the wrestling business. There's no fucking way that she should ever be in charge of a wrestling company. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and she's listening to all the wrong people. The thing is that how in the hell can you have this much financial problem? Number one, they spent all that money to bring Bischoff and Hogan in, and it solved nothing.
It made things worse.
It did make things worse, not just from a storytelling standpoint on television.
Backstage.
It made a lot of things worse, and they spent way too much money that they didn't have. And now we're in a situation where this company is about to be sold. And I know Billy Corgan, he wants this. He wants to be in the wrestling business. But I think that we just need to pull the plug. Let TNA die its miserable death. As much as I hate to say that, I liked the company for so long, but let's live in the good memory of TNA. Let's have those memories on the network. Let's go relive the X Division and the height of that. Let's go relive the rampage of Samoa Joe and the debut of Kurt Angle and their matches.
Main
Let's
Event
relive
Mafia.
That. Yeah, even that. Sure.
Like I said, I was a lover of TNA up and until about the Aces and Eights storyline, and when I realized it was going to be, here we go, it's all NWO all over again, I stopped. I couldn't go any further, and I've been out that long, I don't even know Mr. Anderson or Kennedy, whatever the fuck. He's probably not with the company anymore.
I don't know if he is or not. That is somebody that I'm not sure if he's with them. I saw something that he talked shit about them at an indie show, but there was maybe he's doing a work shoot where it's a shoot, but they know it. They know he was trying to get. I don't know what's going on with the company. That's how little I follow. I know Lashley's their world champion. I know they're getting ready to crown their first ever grand champion. I know
It'll be their last ever grand champion.
Yeah. I know Aaron Rex, the former Damien Sandow, he's down there and doing well. Cody Rhodes just signed down there. I don't know how he signed. They don't have any damn money. I don't understand.
We'll buy you a steak dinner. Why he signed? Didn't his wife sign down there?
His wife signed, and her name is Brandy Rhodes. However, Cody cannot use the name Cody Rhodes.
Because it's trademarked WWE.
So his name is Cody.
Are you kidding me? They just call him Cody?
Yeah, his name is Cody. So if his wife, Brandy, ends up being his valet, it could be Cody with Brandy Rhodes.
This is ridiculous.
Oh my God. He could do, and he won't do this. He will not do this. But you know how TNA did their stupid rendition of Goldust with It was called Black Rain.
Uh-huh.
They could do Purple Rain.
Oh my God, Brandon, come on now. Oh, that's awesome.
And it could be like how they did Stardust, but it could be like a more Prince version of Black Rain.
That's awesome.
Okay, so apparently there was. Do you remember Disco Inferno?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so he worked in TNA as like an agent, right?
Okay.
For a while, and I guess either he was on the creative team. I don't know if what. I assume if you're an agent, you're involved somewhat with creative. You could talk to them. One of his ideas was to have an evil architect wrestler.
Okay.
His name is Bill Ding.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, are you serious? An evil architect wrestler.
Bill Ding.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever.
I've been waiting to tell somebody about. I heard about that like 2 days ago, and I'm like, I can't wait for the wrestling podcast. This has to come up. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. And wrestling gets stupid sometimes, dude. We had T.L. Hopper. We had a plumber. Okay, we had Bastion Booger.
Oh, Shockmaster.
What's Shockmaster? We are woefully incomplete without the evil architect Bill Ding.
I thought you were gonna say like he had this great idea for this guy who was like an evil mastermind and like had everybody fooled, and then you came with that shit. Oh damn, that was good. Oh,
I almost killed the show.
close. I I was good until you said I almost killed the show. Oh. And we're back.
Now, okay, so you and me, we're not in the wrestling business, okay?
Correct.
We're fans, and one would like to think that if anybody's going to work in the wrestling business, has to be a fan of what you're doing, or you have to be, a fan of wrestling to be involved with it. Because wouldn't it be oxymoronic of you not to? It's like, I'm not a fan of wrestling, and yet here I am. But okay, so now picture you and me. We're on the creative team in TNA, and Glenn Gilberti, Disco Inferno, like, I got this great idea for a character. He's gonna come in, okay? He's gonna be an evil architect named Bill Ding. How does that not kill the room? So, Seth Rollins is the architect.
So if TNA would have got bought, they could have had Architect versus Evil Architect. Rollins versus Ding.
He walks out. You know how Jericho walked out? He almost kind of he did like a newer version of his 1004 moves with his clipboard a couple weeks ago.
Stupid idiot list.
Yeah. So you have him. He's like, out comes Bill Ding with these big papers and goes, "These are the blueprints of your destruction."
Jesus Christ. Stop it. You're trying to kill me on the show.
I think I've already done that, okay? I don't think there's ever been any prolonged laughter like that ever on any of our shows that we've ever done.
That's just too fucking good, man.
Okay, like that goes into all the Cards episodes that we did at Journey to Comics. A couple of those killed us. And all we're doing in those episodes are laughing.
That's true.
I don't think there's ever been a moment of time in any of our shows that there has been nothing but just laughter, no words being said. We're just meditating on the fact that some guy thought that this was a good idea.
Brando, my brain goes really deep though, and I need to. I'm gonna try to explain to you where my brain went with this and why it just killed me. Because see, I see Disco Inferno, like in his car, and he's driving, and he's like, "Today's the fucking day. Today I'm gonna teach them who the fuck I am. I'm gonna tell them my idea." And they're gonna love it. They're gonna fucking eat it up. And he walks in the room and delivers that. Yeah, his name's Bill Ding. I probably would have quit my job that day. If I was there, I would have let him be like, "Is this real life? Did you take like a fuck ton of shrooms before you walked in here and just delivered that genius idea, Bill Ding?" Oh man. It's times like this I wish Patrick were here. He'd be dying too.
I can't wait for him to hear this. I really can't. Because honestly, it is surreal. We have a whole show to do. We have been spending the last 10 minutes on an idea that never happened.
Building.
Somebody in TNA, and we're talking about TNA.
Used to stand for Total Nonstop Action.
You used to stand for that, okay? But the land of bad ideas, the land for bad ideas, told this guy that's a bad idea. Somebody had enough wherewithal to go, "No, we can't do that." They'll laugh at us.
Oh man. And then it's like, do you put that on TNA's tombstone? Here lies TNA, architect of building. Oh hell.
Okay.
We have news to cover still. Holy shit.
We do. No more.
Mr.
I'll take this.
Mr. Ding has left the building.
Oh.
Somebody thought that was a good idea. Somebody.
I almost unplugged my microphone.
It's okay, bro. We got this.
So there was a pay-per-view on Sunday.
Yeah, we almost got to go. Kind of glad that we didn't with the way everything kind of played out. I think it would have been a fun experience, but we'll catch the next one. I ain't concerned.
Yeah. We're just gonna. Okay, so it was Clash of the Champions. It was the first Raw. We've already had the first SmackDown, Backlash, and as me and Patrick discussed, we really thought it delivered. It was pretty much you had one bad hand on the show. That was the match that didn't happen. That was Orton and Bray, and that was the reason for that because Orton wasn't cleared yet. Although, I mean, really, if he wasn't cleared yet, you shouldn't have advertised the fucking match. Just my opinion. So Clash, they had one pre-show match that was Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox. This sort of came out of Alicia Fox hitting Nia Jax with a box. That's way too many X's here. I'm just, I'm just. I mean, this match is what it was. I have nothing to say about it. It was short and sweet, and I mean, she sold. Nia Jax is pretty green. I kind of think that she shouldn't have came up so quickly, in my opinion.
I kind of think that too. It's one of those things where it seems in the WWE they'll rush someone thinking that it's their time, and then they get buried in the undercard because they're trying to make them something they just aren't going to be because WWE pulled the trigger too quick. I think she could have done well with like 6 more months of developmental.
Probably. Now, you know who her cousin is?
I actually don't.
The Rock.
Really?
She's Samoan.
That's awesome.
Which means that she's also related to Roman Reigns. So once again, we're getting another Samoan that's related to The Rock, thinking that they're going to be big push. Now, I have nothing against Nia Jax other than that she's a little green and she could be potentially hurting people if she's not careful. She's the big
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong, who is pretty much your old school Abdul the Butcher type monster heel. And I honestly I think it's really great because Nia Jax doesn't look like any of the other women wrestlers. She's not super thin. She's a big, more curvy girl, and they're not portraying her like they did Bertha Faye back in the 90s where she's trailer park trash, big fat girl.
Yeah.
They were portraying her as she's a woman's wrestler. She's here to compete. That's cool. That's awesome. And I really hope that she does get better, that she does kind of go forward. Now, I'm looking at the card, and I'll save this for later. But as far as the pre-show match, the one thing that that we're going to notice, and this was sort of felt a little bit on the SmackDown show too, for Backlash, is that they only have so much to work with to make a pay-per-view. So there are going to be like some lesser quality matches that aren't necessarily pay-per-view matches going on to the show. So there's going to be matches that are more akin to like this match. It was on the pre-show, but I mean on SummerSlam, Cesaro and Sheamus were on the pre-show.
Correct.
And those are guys that should be on the main card. Now, because of this gets time for everybody. So like if Clash of Champions was the one pay-per-view for the month, and you had all these stars, I guarantee you Nia Jax wouldn't have been on this show at all, and neither would have maybe even the Cruiserweight match.
Yeah, Cruiserweight probably would have been like a really undercard match.
Now, Cruiserweight probably would have been show, and then maybe even Cesaro. See, and that's the weird thing is that now, and it's not weird bad, but now with the 2 pay-per-views we have time for everybody. That also means that there's like more filler, which not so much on this show. On the last show, as I said, all the matches were good. There just weren't as many matches. I'm really hoping that we don't get to a point where we that we're having December to Dismember type pay-per-views where there's only 2 announced matches. Where you had the Extreme Rules match and then you had the Hardys versus Eminem. I believe the match was, but I really hope we don't get to that.
Here's my thing, man, with the two splits, if you will. This is something we felt back in the day after the acquisition of WCW. We're feeling it now in 2016 as they're branching off and trying to be a different company. They're trying their damnedest to tell the people who used to be fans that lost interest for a long time, we still value you and we want your we want your viewership and whatnot. I think that my biggest concern has been the same concern with wrestling pay-per-views since the beginning of time. Don't book something for 3 hours you've only got an hour and a half of content for, and then show me, literally before the pay-per-view starts, and then throughout the pay-per-view, these vignettes recapping the build-up to the pay-per-view. You can, if you're going to show it, only show it during the pay-per-view. If you're going to show it, only show it before the show. And keep the matches rolling. Keep it going. And then another question I have, Brando, and I got to get your opinion. Have they become like genies at changing ring ropes?
You know what? I mentioned this on the Journey to Wrestling Facebook page, which you can go like it, Journey to Wrestling. I've actually thought about making a Twitter and having those linked.
You should. That would be great.
But I noticed that, and that's actually for the cruiserweight match. They did that. They totally changed. We came back, and not only was there different graphics, but different ring ropes, and they didn't even look like the same style that WWE normally uses. It was the cruiserweight classic ring ropes, and
yeah, it was very. All of a sudden, things were different. And I've been to one pay-per-view. I went to Judgment Day 09. And I will say that between each match, they changed the mat that was on in the ring. Like there was a mat and they would pull it and change it every match. So if anybody bled or anything, they were changing it. And I thought that was kind of bizarre. So what would happen is lights would go down in the stadium. And there would be the whatever is playing on TV, whatever vignette for the pay-per-view match or whatever was coming next, would play on the TV. And most people were looking at that going, oh, this is fucking amazing pay-per-view. I'm here. Holy shit, this is awesome. I've never done this before. And then there's me who has ADD like a motherfucker who was like, oh, cool, they're selling the hype for Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton. What are they doing to the ring? What's that guy doing? Oh, whoa, you wouldn't even, that's crazy. Like there in the moment when I'm at Judgment Day, I had the revelation that like they've probably done this the whole time. And we never see it because obviously we don't, So, yeah, man, in a little bit of a minor tangent there, I liked Clash of Champions. I feel like they are still pulling with not enough talent, especially with all these injuries happening. I will say there's one other last little interesting thing I have in concerns to the brand split, and this is something you might not have thought about, but another great thing is with all this talent they have, if someone's hurt or someone needs a little bit of time off, they can take that time off and just be not on the show, and it doesn't hurt their story. It doesn't hurt what's going on with that character. If Bray Wyatt misses a week of TV or doesn't show up at a pay-per-view, we're obviously still interested in what Bray Wyatt's doing. It didn't take away. And maybe he did rehab a shoulder injury, or maybe it was Randy Orton who needed a little bit longer, which I think they could have maybe done that a little bit better and had them have a, bigger role. But that's SmackDown, and I digress. But Brando, where to next?
We're going to go to the next match on the card.
Which is what, since I was on Tangent City.
You were on Tangent City, and you gave us 16 tangents in one match.
Yes!
The New Day defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson. This match was pretty good until the ending, and I really don't understand why I think the only reason why they did this is because they want New Day to break the old demolition record, so then they don't have to dance around the fact that Demolition held a tag team title in WWE longer than they did, even if the titles that they're holding don't share the same lineage as the title that Demolition held.
Correct.
But I think it's the wrong move because Gallows and Anderson, I think it's time to shift and give this, like, where does this feud go from here? I don't know. Gallows and Anderson have lost too many times, and they're supposed to be this badass tag team from New Japan, and they keep losing to the New Day. And it was really weird because, like, the New Day sort of did, like, a heel finish where, like, I believe it was, I'm calling him Austin Creed, but his name is Xavier Woods. He goes by two different names for YouTube channel wrestling. I mean, it's not fair. Confuses the heck out of me sometimes. Anyway, Xavier ends up hitting one of the guys, I believe it was Anderson, with Francesca 2. They end up going, hit the finish, and then, that's that. And the match wasn't very long, and man, I don't know where it goes from here. Other than, because you don't want to have New Day as baby faces going on to a new feud with, I mean, I don't want to see them wrestle the Shining Stars.
No.
And I don't want to see them and Enzo and Cass go at it because they're both babyface teams.
No.
I mean, would their promos be funny going back and forth? Yeah, but you're going to have to heel one of them really with the crowd because then the crowd's going to have to choose, and then it's not. It's a lot healthier if you have Gallows and Anderson really put the New Day down, and people are like, "Holy crap, the New Day just got taken out," and then they feud with Enzo and Cass, and that becomes a thing, and all of a sudden, the New Day's back.
Well, that's...
I don't know.
Okay, so quickly, I'm going to blaze through this thing here with tag team wrestling on Raw. So my one thing is the work that's going on between the New Day and the Partial Club is phenomenal, and I mainly say that because they've had me so many times thinking they're actually going to change the titles and Gallows and Anderson are going to win this time, and then they still don't. And it's like you think, I'm so certain. There are moments where I'm so certain that they're going to win the titles, and they don't. And then on the flip, I want to mention, you said, well, where do they go from here? Well, interestingly enough, this past week on Raw, Brando, Commissioner Foley came up with something. I'm pretty sure you must have heard about it. A solution to what happens with our Best of 7 series with Cesaro and Sheamus. They get pushed into a tag team together and forced to work together. And sometimes... Listen, we know that obviously as adults now, we know that these guys are working characters, and Sheamus is the working heel within this tag team tandem that's supposed to be a team, and it's a heel and a babyface together. But I also know that in a heartbeat, if these guys start getting like red hot, like think about like the Real Americans, that's half of the Real fucking Americans with a different tandem. And Sheamus is a bigger sell than Jack Swagger. I mean, it's just the truth. So those guys could go on to be the next villains, but I think that honestly, they're not giving anybody a shot to actually win those titles until that tag team division is so overwhelming. Because right now you only have, as far as bad guys are concerned, Gallows and Anderson. And to put them on top and try to play the whole babyface game, people are going to get buried. Right now, this is a way to kind of let everything work itself out. So, personally, the only thing I could think of them doing is like maybe, the one thing they could do to change the dynamic of this is if the club got a third member that wasn't obviously AJ or Finn, because AJ's on the other show and Finn's injured and obviously wouldn't come back to work in a tandem right away. So that's the only thing I really think of is to bring another member of the club in, and that's how you can change the guard. Will they break the Demolition quote-unquote record because it's more about a tag team holding tag titles for an extended amount of time and not a WWE tag team holding the WWE tag team world tag team titles? The ones that were created in '85, is that right?
No, the tag team titles have been around since the 70s, I'm pretty sure. The world tag team titles that were retired in like 2009, 2010, when they got merged with the SmackDown with the WWE tag team titles, which now are the WWE Raw tag team titles. This is confusing. There's way too many.
It is. There's too
workarounds.
much going on with that.
I got my own opinions, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna go on to the next match. We're gonna talk about the cruiserweight title match. TJ Perkins, aka used to work in TNA. Did you know that?
I did not, really?
Yeah, he did. He was Suicide,
Really?
aka Manic. He wasn't the original Suicide. He was the guy that ended up becoming Suicide, and then when they changed it to Manic, he made his debut in 1998. He's been in that business for a while, dude.
That's crazy.
But he's only 32.
That's also crazy. Holy shit, he's been wrestling forever.
He has been. He's finally made the big time now. TJ won the Cruiserweight Classic, which they awarded him the Cruiserweight Championship for, and he defended against Brian Kendrick. Now, Brian Kendrick is another guy that's been wrestling forever. He is 38, and it was a pretty good match. And I don't know if you noticed, but they sort of have kind of toned down the Cruiserweight style from the Cruiserweight Classic into the week-to-week Cruiserweight matches. They don't want these guys injuring themselves, putting themselves in too much danger during the weeks. I've heard that these guys are not going to be wrestling on house shows. I heard that a long time ago. I'm not sure if that's true. So if anybody goes to house shows for Raw and sees the Cruiserweight division there, please let us know, or let somebody know. Let us know. Now, the match was pretty good. It was pretty decent. Of course, TJ ends up winning. Of course, I kind of thought he would. Kendrick healed him after the end, and I believe there's going to be another match out of this. I don't know when that is.
I think that they're elongating this feud. I think it's really smart of them. You're right. They need to. Well, they are toning down that style a little bit. But I think it's good because it's going to give longevity to the guys. And also, you don't want to give it all away. Save some of those big, crazy fucking moves you've been working really hard on for the pay-per-view where it matters most, you know?
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Just as a side here, the last thing I have to say about this is I really like TJ Perkins' video game, retro video game intro.
It's amazing. It's so cool. I love it. Next match? Let me look
Cesaro versus Sheamus. It was the last match in the best of 7 series. So we've seen these guys wrestle 8 times.
Yep.
In the matter of a month. And I'm tired of seeing the match. But however, saying that, this match is freaking awesome. Cesaro wrestled hard. Sheamus wrestled hard. I thought Cesaro was dead at one point. The suicide dive to the outside.
Yep.
That was scary. I literally when they rolled back in the ring and he hit the bro kick, I thought that was an emergency go home finish because Cesaro was hurt, and I'm like, oh crap, it's over. And when he kicked out, they kept going. I was like trying to figure it out because there's no way you take a landing like the one that Cesaro took on the floor and not hurt from that.
Oh, plus, I mean, didn't he just get back from shoulder surgery? God, that's such a tongue twister.
I just saw WWE was live on Facebook, and it was they were talking to Nikki Bella about the upcoming Bella show.
Total Bellas.
I didn't watch too much of it, but she was talking about how she just had her neck surgery, and John had just had shoulder surgery, and she also said soldier surgery, and she just said, why is that so hard to say? Apparently it is, because we both almost said it. Even in me describing the story to you, I almost said soldier surgery.
You just did. You said soldier.
Well, I did it on purpose this time.
Oh, okay. Darn.
It's Cesaro, man. Cesaro, this match is off the hook. I thought that this match was going to be match of the night until the finish. And I was confused at first because when they went over, I thought maybe because of what Cesaro had done, that after this he landed again and it hurt and they decided to call it off. But apparently it's just all part of an angle
Yeah.
where Best of 7 ends in a no contest, where the winner is supposed to get a Universal title match. And then I find out that the resolve of this is to put him in a tag team.
Yep.
This sucks. And I absolutely hate this. I would have much rather to see Sheamus win than this.
Well,
honestly.
You want
and
to
have Cesaro have the heartbreak. And I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No, I was interrupting you. That's my fault.
I would much rather have Sheamus have broken all Cesaro's section people's hearts and have him go, "Oh, just one fella. I'm the greatest. Rock steady for the win." Then to have the ending we got, and then to have, I saw Mick Foley. He was responding to people getting upset about this on Twitter. And he goes, if any real wrestling fan is really upset about this, or if anybody's upset about this and dares call themselves a wrestling fan, feel free to kiss my ass. And somebody tweeted at him. He goes, "You once destroyed a TV because you're upset about a finish."
That is true.
And I'm like, look, I know Cesaro's not going to be a main event guy on Raw anytime soon. I understand that. There's no reason why he can't be upper mid card. There's no to put him in an unlikely tag team with Sheamus and to make them the bad guys. Cesaro is in the midst of a face push. The crowd's behind him. They pop every time he does. He's almost built back up from where they dropped the ball 3 years ago.
I agree with that.
Almost. Not quite. But he's getting there because they've evolved him into this 007, suave kind of character. And, he kind of has his own little ring entrance now that's kind of different, and he's kind of making himself. The fans are into him. He's not the best talker, but he can still kind of talk, and he wrestles harder than anybody else, and he's had some injuries because of it. But, he really is trying to become somebody, and I think it's the wrong time. It's the wrong idea. It's the wrong fucking finish for this match. I don't know what they're smoking. And you know what? It's interesting because on the last episode that we just did before this, it was a Journey to Comics, and I was criticizing me for writing fan fiction, and I was like, part of me just wished they would wait to the end of the story to see what kind of story they're telling. I don't understand what kind of story they're trying to tell here, though.
Well, I have a thought.
Do you have a thought?
I really do about what they're going for.
Okay, then please enlighten me.
Well, I look to Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H being an unlikely tag team, going on to win the tag team titles, further solidifying their place as, upper class wrestlers. Obviously, they were already at the top of their game at this point, but it just elevated them even further. And then, of course,
so Sheamus is going to tear a quad.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying that, but I am saying that out of a maybe, you never know, they might win the tag titles. Something bigger comes from this. Now, I will say, the finish of the match was kind of horseshit. It's kind of cool, though, because it's like, it ends in a draw, and there was really no winner. But, it was weird, because I thought a couple times that the match was over because someone actually got hurt.
See, that's what messed with me about it, because I actually was concerned because of what happened before.
Yeah, Cesaro got hurt.
I mean, apparently everything's okay. He's just banged up, which is awesome. He got so lucky. But then they ended it with just like a clothesline over the barricade that only really made sense because Cesaro almost killed himself.
Yeah.
So if Cesaro wouldn't almost killed himself, this would have made no sense. I also have a theory about this. And I have a theory that when they were in creative, Disco Inferno stood up.
Don't do it.
I have a great idea. What if we take a really hot upper mid-carder in Cesaro and Sheamus, who people are almost have given him X-Pac heat, and put him in a tag team, and they'll wrestle and be a tag team. And they're like, my God, he's got something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
And then he's like, if you guys love that idea, wait till you hear my next one.
Don't do it. But to me, the one thing, though, is that I think that this maybe not be a bad move. Right now, up top is a little bit busy. You need guys to kind of fill the void. I think this is like a pay-per-view and a Raw that we didn't have Enzo and Cass, did we? Did they come out this past week on Raw?
They did come out this past week, I do believe. Again, I didn't watch the show. I want to say I want to say they wrestled Jericho and Owens.
No. Because Owens, actually, I don't remember Raw that well. That's unfortunate. I watched it, but I watched it right before SmackDown, so a lot of SmackDown stuff stuck. And Raw really didn't, which is bizarre. I mean, there are a couple things that I remember from Raw, but yeah, man, I don't know. Sheamus, Cesaro, that was we have to see where it goes. Maybe there's something bigger for these guys. Maybe there's something that they're planning. It would be really cool to almost do like the was that Wolfpack Sting and Big Show, formerly the Giant, or no, it was Kevin Nash, that they ended up battling each other for the rights to have both tag titles.
No, that was the Giant.
It was the Giant Sting, wasn't it?
Yep.
Man, okay, well, decent memory, me. What up?
Almost tucked yourself out of it.
Yeah, I almost did too. Brando.
Yeah, Jericho and Owens did wrestle Enzo and Cass.
Oh, nice. So my thought was completely wrong.
But they weren't on the pay-per-view at all.
You're correct. They weren't even mentioned. Was Jericho's Sami Zayn next on that pay-per-view?
It was next. It was the battle of the current best friend and former best friend. This was a good match. Ended very abruptly. But with the Codebreaker.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Jericho winning here, but because I personally feel Sami Zayn's probably the best loser on the roster. I mean that with all sincerity. I think he's just a really good loser because he can lose and people feel sorry, and then it doesn't really hurt him too bad.
Nope.
But, it is what it is, and I think they might wrestle again sometime down the line. And I don't have a whole lot to say about it.
Yeah, it was an alright match. That's really, I mean, you kind of summed it up for me. From there, we had, was it U.S. title women's or women's U.S.?
It was women's. It was the triple threat. Charlotte defeated Bayley and Sasha Banks. I heard something that I don't like.
Okay.
Is that creative sees Dana Brooke as the top future babyface woman for Raw.
Ew.
And I think Disco came up with that too.
He must have.
From now on, anything that we do and discuss on this show that is like questionably creative wise, it's got to be Disco. It's all Disco.
Disco did it.
Disco did it. Disco is backstage going, guys, you're not going to believe this, okay? This whole story with Dana Brooke and Charlotte and her being like the stooge and costing everybody her matches, and we know how over Sasha and Bayley are with the crowd. Dana's going to be twice as over as both of them combined.
Not even close to likely.
Main event WrestleMania for the women's match, Charlotte versus Dana Brooke.
Not even close. Brando,
No.
I had something I was going to share with you. Oh, do you think Disco Inferno was the creative mind behind the finger poke of death?
No, actually.
Well, I know he wasn't.
He wasn't in creative at that point. I mean,
maybe he tried to be. Maybe that was his first dip, and his second one was Mr.
Mr. Building.
I just can't believe someone's that dumb. It just bothers me.
Well, it's what is funny is that it reeks of like early to mid 90s WWF, because in the last show we talked about Backlash, and when I pulled up Kane's Wikipedia page because he wrestled Bray Wyatt, and while me and Patrick were talking about it, and Patrick was talking, and then something just derailed my train of thought. And okay, so Kane used to wrestle under the name of Isaac Yankem DDS. He was Jerry the King Lawler's dentist.
Yep.
That's how far Jerry the King Lawler went to go defeat Bret the Hitman Hart. If he couldn't do it, damn it, his dentist was going to do it. Well, no, hold on. The dentist, he had to go to the dentist because he got a bad tooth infection for having to kiss his own foot. That's what it was.
Yep.
Okay. So where was where was Isaac Yankem billed from?
Isn't it where Glenn Jacobs is actually from, which is Tennessee?
No.
I don't know then.
Decatur, Illinois.
Really?
Decatur.
Oh. Oh, you bastard. You got me again. You pun of a bitch.
They did it. They did it.
Oh,
From
that's...
Decatur, Illinois. Isaac Yankem, DDS.
what's
Anyway,
a place that sounds like something to do with a tooth decaying?
the women's match was pretty good. I had to miss some of it. I can't remember what I was doing. That was, I think I was helping make dinner. And so I saw most of it, and then I saw the end, but I was in and out. So honestly, I don't have much to say here either. Having Charlotte get the win is not necessarily like a wrong move or anything. I just really hope they're not building towards a Dana Brooke big babyface thing, and I really hope that they're doing their original plan, which is having the Raw Women's match for WrestleMania be one-on-one Bayley and Sasha Banks.
Oh, man, for NXT rematch. Damn, that'd be insane. I had a big old yawn, Brando. That's the Benadryl kicking in, bro.
Well, it is also getting pretty late in the night. The next match was the U.S. title match. Roman Reigns versus Rusev, and they actually switched the title here.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Reigns walks away with the U.S. title, which keeps him out of the main event picture, logistically anyway, for a little bit longer. I kind of feel like he's going to drop it back to Rusev at some point. To me, that's the right move to do. But then again, maybe they're actually going to ride with it. Maybe they'll keep it on Reigns to try and help build him back up. Because, and I've said before here, I don't hate Roman Reigns. I don't think that he is like the worst thing to ever come out. I just think that they booked him severely wrong and at the wrong place at the wrong time. Is also another way to put it. When they decided to make Roman Reigns their guy, it was they decided to have tease the fans with the Daniel Bryan Rocky comeback and to rob him of it and then have him float into nothingness before he retired. That was the wrong thing. If Daniel Bryan came back after the Rumble and he was never even mentioned or didn't come back and they didn't just get him in to try and sell the network and get people to buy it and try it in whatever for the Rumble, people would have not have rejected his brains as much as being the guy that's going to win. But when they get handed hey, guess what? The guy who didn't lose last year, got injured, is coming back. He's going to win the Rumble. Only he's not. We're going to trick you. That pissed people off.
Oh, yeah.
So I think what they were trying to build Roman, and people were starting to see that Roman isn't as good on his own as the Shield. And then what you have is that you are severely, and even to that point, which blows my mind, you are severely underestimating how over Daniel Bryan is with the people. Not only are you underestimating how over he is with the people, but now you've had that long wait of rehabbing from injury, and now he's back, and so people are now fed into a story that, oh my God, if he wins the Rumble, he's going to be facing Brock Lesnar. So now it's like that whole WrestleMania 31 was like, can he climb this mountain? And then that never happened. It was Roman. People just shed all over it. But now we're in a situation where Roman shot himself in the foot. He cocks his little Superman punch like a shotgun, and he went to go slam it on the ground, but he hit his own foot with it when he got caught smoking whatever he was smoking or doing whatever he was doing. So that kind of dragged him back down a little bit and made him kind of punish him. I think eventually they're going to try and push him back up, because I read something the other day that really bugged me, but it's indicative to how wrestling business is nowadays. They're going to keep pushing Roman. despite him getting booed out of the building at WrestleMania this year, because they feel that eventually the fans will get used to him being on the top and they'll start cheering him.
Lame.
Now, here's the thing. You live in a world now where the top guy of the company does not necessarily mean the life or death for the business. Roman Reigns I'm telling you right now, Roman Reigns was not the reason why 100,000 people were in that building.
Well, obviously not.
And I'm not saying that everybody there hated him, but I mean, obviously enough people to like drown out his cheers. But those tickets were sold well before in advance, with people knowing Roman Reigns was probably going to be the guy in the main event, despite everything else. So they're like, people don't care. They want a guy who's going to represent the company and represent their bottom line publicly. And they did it with Cena for so many years. It got to a point where people they still boo him, but they respect the hell out of him for all he's done. And again, with Roman, it's like the same people who boo him now would have cheered the hell out of him if he'd have debuted as like Cena's replacement in 2009.
Yeah, that's true.
They would have welcomed him. But the thing is that it's just people know that he's the chosen one. People know that he's not that great. So they're refusing him. And it's going to be this cycle. And we're in an era where it's going to be like, if the next big star, like, okay, so Punk had a potential to be the next Austin or the next Rock. Obviously, it didn't happen. Okay, he was the first Punk, but he didn't reach the level of Cena, right? Then you had Bryan, who was as over as anybody was. But then it's like they don't want to commit to that. They don't want to go full bore into that and make him their guy. So it makes me worried. It's like the next guy. Is Finn Balor that guy? And what if he does become that guy, and what if they just don't care?
Ugh.
It's frustrating because you have a guy like Steve Austin who wasn't really supposed to be the guy, but then when he was, they ran with him, and he was instrumental in their success. So then that made everything bigger. Everybody knew Austin. Everybody had a Austin 316 shirt. Who has a Roman Reigns shirt?
Not I.
And me, I don't either. And I mean, I'm sure some people do, but Roman Reigns isn't going to be selling John Cena numbers. I guarantee you.
Not even close, dude.
But I do apologize for going on such a long tangent about Roman Reigns, but
it's all right. You don't gotta apologize. I will say, with Roman, they kind of fed into the fans a little bit, and I think they're going to try to work this angle, or he went off script. But there was a moment on Raw where he could have hit Rusev in the back with a chair, but he sat down in the chair instead, and the crowd booed him immediately. And then after a couple of minutes, he got back up, took the chair, and smacked Rusev with it once really hard, and the crowd popped for that. So I'm wondering if they've started, every time I think I know how they're going to get Roman to be like better received, they fucking drop the ball. It's like I know they should be able to logically put these ideas together, and they themselves don't. It's like you had Rollins come out and quasi help him before Clash of Champions and do that crazy divey thing. Mm-hmm. Which, whatever, he was not really helping him, but whatever. It's like they have all the right things to make Reigns better, and they just don't put it together. So when
you have Disco working on creative,
he's the worst, man. He's the worst writer they've ever had.
I don't even think he gets paid. I just think he shows up.
They don't even recognize he showed up either.
Yeah,
like they're just like, who's this guy? I don't know.
Well, it's like they walk in and there's like a stack of papers there with sheets and like, hey, who did this? And like, okay, hey, this is our show. Last match was Owens. He retained against Seth Rollins. There's a little bit of trickery here. Good match, really good match here. Sometimes I see the way Owens lands. Like he did a suicide dive and he kind of landed and he hit he hit Owens, and then he like landed on his feet, and I saw like his left leg kind of like he
Twist.
kind of twist, and I'm like, dude, careful.
He feels like he's indestructible because he's had surgery. And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
well,
no, you're not. You're more fragile. Knock that shit off.
yeah, I don't want to see Rollins is over as shit, dude. He should be like with what they want to do and how hard they want to push Reigns, as being the face of the company. That needs to be Rollins, because I think Rollins can be the next Shawn Michaels of the company, where he's a guy that they can put all the whole weight of the company on, and he can be that baby face guy that goes and meets with all the television stations and Today Show and all that stuff. He can be that guy.
Yeah, he
And
absolutely could.
because he comes off as a genuinely good person, despite being such a despicable asshole on television sometimes. If they want to make him that babyface, he can be that babyface. And I mean, he's somebody that the crowd has organically got behind. There was a time when the crowd was organically behind Reigns, but then they squandered that. I mean, so Owens retains here. Y2J gets involved, and then we sort of have a finish where the ref gets a ref bump, another referee comes out, and just in time to get the pin on Romans. Stephanie sent the ref out. Now, the show went off the air, but then they did a clip where Stephanie was walking backstage, and Triple H is there to meet her at the car, and it pretty much says, how was the show? Was it a good night? And she kind of said yes or some sorts. So this sort of, they're doing a slow build, and it's going to be Triple H and Rollins at Mania. Mark my words. They're doing a very slow build for it, and that's going to be one of the marquee matches. They wanted it for this past year, but it didn't happen. It's going to be very interesting to see how Mania shapes up, because I'm seeing Rollins and Triple H. I'm seeing Cena and AJ. I'm seeing Balor and Owens. I'm seeing a lot of different matches sort of come together. I'm seeing potentially, like whatever Lesnar's doing. If they can get Goldberg to come back, I'm seeing that as a big marquee match. Then
That'd be
maybe
crazy.
Taker. I mean, like, what do you do with Taker with all those matches? It's like, take the year off. I don't know, man. Coming out of Clash, the show was pretty decent. I didn't think this show was as good as Backlash.
Nah, it didn't have as many shock and awe moments.
Well, I mean, it just overall the match, I think there were more matches that had the potential to be barn burners. And I mean, again, the Cesaro Sheamus match, great match, probably match of the night for me. Then they botched it with the finish. Jericho Zayn was a good match. Women's Triple Threat was a good match. Roman and Rusev, they had a really good match with each other. As I said, Roman isn't a bad worker, man. You get him in there with the right guy, and he can tear the house down. And then, I mean, Owens and Reigns dance, that was really good. But I mean, overall, I just kind of feel like the show, coming out of the gate, I think SmackDown really they had some really good moments, as you said. They really knocked that show out of the park. SmackDown, of course, building up towards their next pay-per-view, which is on October 9th. So definitely keeping these within a couple weeks apart. I'm looking forward to see how this one does. The matches are already sort of taking shape. Seems like we are going to get the Orton and Bray Wyatt match. Another Miz and Ziggler match. If Ziggler loses, he retires.
One of the best promos I've seen in a long time on SmackDown was Dolph Ziggler this week. He broke down. He was very vulnerable, and it was really him as a person and not him as a character. And I think it was nice to have that little touch of genuine behind it in his hometown.
I'm definitely for certain here that they're going to have Ziggler win, because if he walks away and takes time off here, that really hurts. That really hurts the SmackDown roster. I know I said, I think it was on the last show, that I don't know what to do with Ziggler after this feud. And that doesn't mean that I think he should go away. I definitely think that the right role for him would be to win here, and at the same time, the Miz is killing it for the first time in a long, long time. I think the Miz is doing a great job.
He's become like the bully he's always meant to be. And
Well, I mean,
just killing it.
He's the only real heel in the company. I mean, from my opinion, I mean, because you have Owens, people love Owens, they want to cheer him. You know,
Yep.
Rollins was the heel, people wanted to cheer Rollins, so they always had to find some way to get him to boo. Miz has to all he has to do is show up,
and people hate him.
Yeah, people are booing him based on principle. I mean, Vicky Guerrero is the only people who can really do that. I mean, maybe Stephanie, sure, but I mean, there are times where Stephanie's playing this line of where she's sort of the baby face, but not really, and then she's going to do something dastardly. It's like, no, the Miz is on TV. Miz is in the middle of the ring, sitting on one of his chairs or his, for his segment, Miz TV. He's people just instantly start booing, and that makes that entertaining because then he does his job and he gets people to boo him more. Next match, the tag team champions, SmackDown tag team champions, the team of Slater and Rhino are going to be facing Heel Sos. Finally, new music for the Heel Sos here. It was bugging the crap out of me to see these Usos, who basically, like, the only thing they did to turn heel was just pull their hoods up and walk slowly like Sith Lords, but they still had that big happy music.
Yeah, it was a little bizarre.
It was almost kind of like whoever was the architect of their heel run really forgot to put something into like the liner notes and didn't say, "Hey, change the music."
They're like, "Shit, we forgot. It's an oversight. Fix it."
Yeah, it was definitely a structural oversight from Mr. Ding. Definitely see the Usos taking this here, because then again, I don't know, because I thought I knew exactly where they were going to go with this whole tag team situation with American Alpha, where they're going to be the top babyface tag team, but then they sort of put themselves in a conundrum with Slater and Rhino, and then, like, having them lose would be weird. So, like, now they're over, and they weren't meant to be over, but they're over, and now they're mixed up with the Heel Sos, and I mean, it wouldn't bug me to see the Heel Sos take it here and then have them continue the feud with American Alpha, but then it's like, what did Heath Slater and Rhino do? It's like
feud with each other.
Do they feud with each other? Because I mean, Rhino might be elected to office come November, so maybe this is them taking time off. I don't know.
There you go.
I guess they're like, hey, you were a tag team champion. Hey, I got to go be a senator. Or whatever, state representative, whatever it's her name for. Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss for SmackDown Women's Championship. Alexa on Talking Smack a couple weeks back really impressed me with some of her talking skills, and then since then she has completely deflated me on anything to do with her. It's almost like she's lost. I think the same thing with my same complaint with Nia Jax is that she's a little too green. They split this women's division up in two, and they really shouldn't have. And now they're filling it with women who can wrestle, but they're still not quite ready for prime time.
All right, I like that. What would you call that analogy, if you will?
It is getting late, so it is hard to form words.
Sometimes it gets pretty difficult.
It's getting to be at 1 o'clock in the morning my time, and I'm usually in bed by 9 or 10.
Oh, that's the worst. What's next on this No Mercy lineup?
Triple threat match for the WWE World Championship. AJ Styles defending against Ambrose and John Cena. If John Cena wins, he ties Ric Flair's record. If Ambrose wins, he gets a pat on the back. If AJ Styles wins, he is still the champ. There runs the camp. I'm taking Styles for this because Cena's taking time off to do a TV show, and apparently Ambrose is taking time off to do a movie. So,
well, there's only one logical explanation.
Yeah, and honestly, Styles is on fire right now.
How hypocritical is Dean Ambrose, though? Talking all that smack to John, yeah, calling him part-timer and talking about Bill Ding, and
I have no idea why I made Dean Ambrose have like a really bad accent when he doesn't have that.
Yeah, he really doesn't, but that's all right. I knew what you were doing.
But I don't know where we go with Styles from here because both of these guys are going to be gone because you have the build up towards a Survivor Series. Who does AJ Styles wrestle Survivor Series? I'm thinking Randy.
Oh, or I have a question. When's the NXT title get decided again?
That would be, I think it's Takeover before Survivor Series, which is a long ways away.
There's no way they got to have a pay-per-view or something before that, an event.
Well, see, normally it's in October. Normally the NXT Takeover event after SummerSlam is in October. So, but they moved it because they wanted to be before the Big Four.
Huh.
And I'm looking at the list right now for Takeover. Yeah, okay, so yeah, the next Takeover event will be Takeover Toronto on November 19th.
Dang. Well, then
that's not enough time to build up the loser of that match against AJ. So honestly, I think it's going to be Randy. I think it's going to be AJ versus Randy. It's going to be a great match. I mean, come on now.
You could put a pile of dog shit in there with AJ, and he'll make it work.
He will. I mean, he'll slip on it and make himself look like an idiot too. You could put AJ Styles in the ring with Bill Ding, and it would be a good match.
It might bring the house down. Oh, I had to throw it in there.
Well, I mean, if the building of this match we're in TNA, I mean, we know how rough how weak the foundation is right now.
Ugh.
But it's in WWE, so yeah, building's not coming in. I think Randy versus AJ is going to be a great match. I mean, Randy can have a good match just about anybody. Same with AJ. So I mean, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer to finish up the Wyatt feud and have Randy move on. Feud with AJ, especially with Dean and John being out of the picture. There, to me, it's going to be either Bray or AJ, and I'm thinking with AJ being heel, it's got to be Randy. It's looking like there might be. Maybe there's room for a couple more matches on the card for No Mercy, but I mean, it's shaping up to be a pretty decent event. I'm thinking that there's going to be AJ is going to kind of sneak the win here, kind of like he's going to pull the rug out and get a quick victory over somebody here.
Use the ropes for leverage.
Well, I'm thinking that Cena may have Ambrose beat, and Styles is going to end up sneaking a win over Ambrose, and Cena's going to be like, "What?"
That would be interesting and makes sense.
Because that does a couple things. One, it keeps the feud between Cena and Styles alive. Obviously, there's going to be a break until the end of the year, but then you can rekindle it by saying, we never had our one-on-one match, and so then that could, in my opinion, if you're going to have Cena beat Styles and tie the record, you do it at Mania, and you have, AJ Styles beat Cena at SummerSlam. Big match. And you have the other big match at Mania, and you have that as a big marquee match.
I like it.
Nah. Oh yeah, I'm really digging that. Now, I think that's about it. I think the only thing that we were going to also talk about were who do you think is doing better? I mean, we are now essentially 2 months into the brand extension, but since the pay-per-views have been going on for a month now, it's like, which brand do you think is putting on the better shows consistently here?
Man, that's tough. I feel like Raw has an unfair advantage. They have the Cruiserweight division. They have the better diva talent pool.
Mm-hmm.
They arguably have some of the bigger names, even though that, again, could be argued. But SmackDown, for what SmackDown has, SmackDown's like an old, dirty, reliable car that you get in every day and it gets you to and from no problem. And it might not look like much, but it fucking gets the job done, and it's solid. I can trust that if I watch SmackDown, I'm gonna enjoy myself. And I mean, I can say the same about Raw, but Raw's pay-per-view to me was not on the same level as Backlash. Clash of Champions was not on the same level as Backlash. And that's just my humble opinion. I felt like Backlash had bigger builds. Everything seemed like it had a bigger implication for the matches. I feel like, the first crowning of a woman's champ, Dean Ambrose losing his title. I mean, all these things, Backlash brought it. And I feel like Clash of Champions just kind of was a mid-season pay-per-view. It wasn't a big event. It wasn't anything to really write home about. For a pay-per-view where a lot of titles are on the line, the statistics of a title actually changing hands is pretty slim. One,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's
and that's
weird.
not the first time they've done that either, with the Night of Champions gimmick, where it's like most of the time they have all the titles on the line anyway, but it's just a way for them to push a pay-per-view. I kind of feel like Clash was missable completely. Nothing's like the only thing that would be worth watching, like for any sort of would be the last two matches, the U.S. title match and the world title match. I would say the Cesaro Sheamus match would have been the match to watch, but they ruined it
with the
they
no
ruined
ending.
It by that. I mean, they ruined it by not having an ending, and they ruined it by the follow-up, by giving us a stupid fix where now they're going to be a tag team. Why? I don't want to see these two in the ring ever again. So why do I suddenly want to see them tag together? And it's not like the first time they've ever tagged together. And and I'm continuing this rant from before, but it's literally the two guys that were unhappy with where they got drafted and what their situations were in the company are now tagging together. So are they going to be happy with the fact that they're tagging? Like personally backstage, it's like the two guys that were unhappy with their position on the card are going to be put in a position on the card where neither one of them can be happy about this.
Unless they, for some weird reason, get the push and take the titles. It's the only thing I could see.
That's got to take time, and it's going to be because Cesaro's a babyface and Sheamus is a heel, so it's going to have. The fans already don't care for Sheamus anyway. I mean, it would be different if it were somebody who they actually actively liked. Like, if you take somebody out of the situation, like takes Kevin Owens, say he was the Universal Champion and he's the heel, Cesaro's the babyface, and they find Owens entertaining enough to cheer him anyway. But so now, like, they actually like what they're seeing. Now it's going to be. I don't think they're going to give them the push and take them all the way. I think there's no way that they can do that. It's either they're going to turn it into like they turn on each other and they have another match, or it's going to flounder, and neither one of them are going to do anything.
Well, maybe they'll prove us wrong. By the way, did you know that I said that Cesaro would go down 3-0 and make a comeback and go 3-3, and then I wasn't sure how it would end? I mean, when we first brought up on the first episode that Patrick was on, I do believe, we brought up the Best of 7 series about to start, because I think it was right before whichever pay-per-view was happening right after the draft.
No, it was Battleground.
It was Battleground, and I said Cesaro will go down 3-0, and then Sheamus will lose 3 in a row, and I wasn't sure how it would end, and it's really bizarre because it didn't technically end, or it ended without a winner, which is really weird.
Are you secretly Disco Inferno and you came up with building?
Oh yeah, I told you. That's a great atrocity we should not speak upon. My building.
Oh God,
it's so dumb, man.
I think this episode has pretty much reached its climax here. I don't know how much more we can drill this building into the ground.
Let's just say this podcast has just won by a technical submission. Nate's tapping. This was a great episode, Brando. I love talking wrestling with you. Hopefully next time we can have the entirety of New Day here, or the club, or whatever we want to be referential to, involving wrestling stables. Brando, send us off.
Well, Well, I want to thank everybody for checking out the show today. We're exclusively right here on the YouTubes. Of course, you can check us out here. We also have a Facebook page, Journey to Wrestling. Go check us out over there. Me and Patrick do post. It has been sporadic, of course, lately with, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Patrick's daughter is now home, so he's been a little tied up with that. We do live posts when we can during the shows, especially during the pay-per-views. We do kind of like post our opinions on stuff. I want to say I mentioned the ring rope thing when that happened, and I also during the Backlash one, I was very like, so the Usos are heel now, but they still have the happy music. But they finally replaced that. But definitely check us out over there. We're thinking about doing a Twitter thing too, but haven't really quite set that up yet. But if you want to check out some of our other shows, it's all right there, all right here on YouTube. You can go over to the playlist and check out all the Journey to Comics, all the Journey to Wrestling, all the Game Addicts, all the Foodies Watching Movies, which, hey, and by the time this show goes up, there will be a playlist, because it's not there yet. I haven't made it.
It's only, 2 episodes deep, Foodies, so.
Soon to be 3.
Soon to be 3. I'm excited for Bat Wings.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. But anyway, Nate, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, man. It's really weird because I started feeling better by the time the show ended, but when we started Journey into Wrestling, as the listeners will hear, I was fucking miserable. And I feel pretty good right now. I think I'm hopefully clearing up of this cold.
Well, I hate to come in like a wrecking ball and tear the building down.
Building, no.
But this show is officially over. It's the end. We're going home, guys. We're going home, and we're leaving the fans wanting more, I hope. But maybe we gave the fans a little bit too much building.
Ooh, dark match?
Dark match.
But who are we putting building against? Oh, the architect, Seth Rollins. Rollins Ding.
Rollins Ding. Who is the real architect? There can only be one.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. All right. What? You go ahead, Brando. Sorry.
I was signing us off.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, then. Can I go home?
Yeah.
Can I go home now? Okay. With that, my friends, I am Brando.
I'm Nate.
And this has been Journey to Wrestling. Thank you for listening.
Later.